How was the land that was vowed to the Lord to be redeemed? This is the question we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Leviticus on walking through the Bible.
His word, the glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, turn to Leviticus 27. We're going to be reading from verses 14 to 21. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Leviticus 27, beginning at verse 14. And when a man dedicates his house to be holy to the Lord, then the priest shall set a value for it, whether it is good or bad. As the priest values it, so it shall stand. If he who dedicated it wants to redeem his house, then he must add 1/5 of the money of your valuation to it, and it shall be his. If a man dedicates to the Lord part of a field of his possession, then your valuation shall be according to the seed for it. A homer of barley seed shall be valued at 50 shekels of silver. If he dedicates his field from the year of Jubilee, according to your valuation, it shall stand. But if he dedicates his field after the Jubilee, then the priest shall reckon to him the money due according to the years that remain till the year of Jubilee, and it shall be deducted from your valuation. And if he who dedicates the field ever wishes to redeem it, then he must add 1/5 of the money of your valuation to it, and it shall belong to him. But if he does not want to redeem the field, or if he has sold the field to another man, it shall not be redeemed any more. But the field, when it is released in the Jubilee, shall be holy to the Lord. As a devoted field, it shall be the possession of the priest. In this, the final chapter of Leviticus, we're dealing with vows that were made. Usually when we think of a vow, we think of a promise which had to be carried out. And while this is true, certain vows were able to be redeemed for money. For instance, people were allowed to be vowed at the service of the Lord. Before the vow was completed, however, the persons could be redeemed from that service according to their valuation. Their valuation was based on age and gender. Animals could also be vowed to the Lord. A clean animal could not be redeemed once vowed. However, an unclean animal could be redeemed. Now you might be asking yourself, if you could redeem what you have vowed, haven't you broken your vow? No, since this process was permissible under the law. A person who redeemed what they had vowed had to pay a redemption price. It was not free, and so they were fulfilling their vow, but they were doing so in a different way. Coming out of verse 14, we find that a person's house could be dedicated as holy to the Lord. The priest would set a value for the house based on whether it is a good house or a bad house, and that would be what the redemption price was based off of. It appears here that good and bad means the quality of the house. We know that some houses are better than others, and thus worth more, and so the valuation of the priest was taking that into consideration. If a person wished to redeem their house, they would have to pay the redemption price plus 20%. Verses 16 to 21 deals with the land that was vowed to the Lord. As we will see in future studies of the Old Testament, the land of Canaan was divided by tribe and then by family within each tribe. Therefore, land of your possession referred to land that you would have been given when Canaan was divided up. If they vowed land to the Lord, they were not allowed to vow all of it, but only a portion of it. Why? The reason probably has to do with the fact that God would not allow the zeal of someone to impoverish their family, so he only allowed them to dedicate part of their land. The redemption price was set based on what the value of the seed required to sow the land was. A homer of barley, which equaled 10 ephahs, or about 225 pounds, would be valued at 50 shekels of silver. Now the question is, since the value was related to the number of years to the next Jubilee year, was the redemption price of the land 50 shekels of silver per year up until the Jubilee year, or was this 50 shekels of silver divided over the time remaining to the next Jubilee year? According to my research and the weight of the barley seed, this 50 shekels of silver would be divided over the 50 years, which meant that for each year up until the Jubilee, the redemption price would be 1 shekel of silver plus 20%. So if you dedicated your land to the Lord the year following the Jubilee year, and 10 years later you wished to redeem the land, you owed 40 shekels of silver according to the valuation, plus 8 more shekels of silver as the 20% for the redeeming the land. What happens if you didn't redeem your land prior to the Jubilee year? Then at the Jubilee year, the land would become a devoted field and would be considered holy to the Lord. Thus it would come into the possession of the priests. Another peculiar case arose that was dealt with as well. What if the man sold his land that he vowed to the Lord? In other words, during the time it was vowed. The man could no longer redeem it, and at the Jubilee, the land would fall into the possession of the priests. Why would someone sell their land during a period that it was vowed? I do not know the answer to that, but God was not going to allow someone to be able to redeem land that was sold during the period of being vowed. We'll conclude this book, the Lord willing, in the next episode. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Leviticus 27, verses 22 to 34, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
I'm not a
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.
of his cross.